Welcome to the 4 Levels of Cultural Awareness Facilitation Guide. My name is Kelsey Patton, and I'm an Intercultural Learning Specialist with CILMAR. This video discusses the basic information you'll share with participants about the 4 levels of cultural awareness as you facilitate the activity and provide background information to your participants before the group dives into case study situation analyses. Again, this tool was created by Dr. Kris Acheson-Clair, Director of CILMAR, and adapted from Howell's book, The Empathic Communicator, an article from Kyle on the stages of cultural awareness, and Broadwell's 4 levels of competence and 4 stages of teaching. The original context for Broadwell's 4 stages of competence was to map the progression of how skills are built. This tool applies this psychology to an intercultural competence context, demonstrating the necessary path of growth into cultural awareness. In this video, I'll be going over slides 2 through 9 of the slides provided in the tool, right before the myths and evidence-based tenets. So to begin, you will introduce participants to these levels, starting with unconscious incompetence, then conscious incompetence, conscious competence, and finally unconscious competence. You can then present it as sort of a visual to show those stages of competence in skill building and building the specific skill of cultural awareness. And then you'll provide some information to participants about what each of these stages mean and what someone might experience both internally and externally, so cognitively and behaviorally, as well as emotionally, affectively, going through these stages. So unconscious incompetence is that first stage. And in this stage, with cultural awareness, an individual is unaware of cultural differences, and they don't realize they're behaving in ways that may not be seen as culturally appropriate while interacting with individuals from other cultures. The second stage is conscious incompetence. At this stage, someone does realize that there are cultural differences, but they don't know what they are or how to navigate them. They realize that they're doing things that may not be seen as culturally appropriate while interacting with individuals from other cultures, but they don't understand the nuances of those cultural behaviors and expectations. At this point, a worry may start to creep in that they will not be able to adjust or adapt appropriately across difference. That third stage of the 4 levels of cultural awareness is conscious competence. In this stage, an individual realizes that cultural differences exist, they know what they are, and they attempt to make adjustments when interacting with individuals from different cultures. However, in this stage, they still have to make a conscious effort to change behavior. And they still aren't completely comfortable and worry about making mistakes. Finally, in that final stage, unconscious competence, an individual doesn't have to think about the cultural differences between them and others as much any longer. They are behaving in culturally appropriate ways, and that's coming more naturally to them and don't have to think through every move as much. So at this point, you might consider providing an example to your learners, and you can choose an example that might fit better with your context, or this is also an example that you can use of tying your shoes. So to think from the perspective of an everyday activity or skill that your learners have developed, and for example, tying their shoes. So as a small child, you don't understand the function of shoelaces and maybe aren't even aware that some shoes have laces at all. Maybe their parents or guardian put them in Velcro shoes. In that case, your learners might be experiencing unconscious incompetence, that first stage of the 4 levels. In that second stage, they may have grown up a bit and now know that some shoes have laces. They know that the laces have to be tied in a certain way in order for the shoe to stay on and fit their foot properly, but they aren't sure how to go about tying them. That worry starts to creep in that they'll be in a situation where their shoe might come untied and no one will be there to tie it for them. In this stage, they may be experiencing conscious incompetence, that second stage of the levels. From there, they might progress to knowing how to tie their shoes, but it might be a bit clunky doing it slowly and having to walk through the instructions that their parent or guardian gave them every time they tie their shoes. In this stage, they might be experiencing conscious competence. And finally, in that final stage, they can just bend down and quickly tie their shoes without giving the task any thought. It's now become muscle memory. And that would be an example of experiencing unconscious competence. So this is just an introduction to those 4 levels that you can provide to your participants, and I hope you find this helpful in facilitating the activity.